Good evening, class, and welcome to Lesson 3.9, Subtract Decimals. Let's begin by taking a look at our essential question. How can place value help you subtract decimals? Well, let's answer that essential question by looking at our Unlock the Problem. Hannah has 3 3/3600 kilograms of apples and 2 2/2800 kilograms of oranges. Hannah estimates she has about 1 more kilogram of apples than oranges. How many more kilograms of apples than oranges does Hannah have? How can you use this estimate to decide if your answer is reasonable? Well, what operation will you use to solve the problem? Well, anytime we're looking at the difference, or about how many more, then we know that we have to use subtraction. So about how many more is subtraction. And then tells us what we're using. So we know that we will use subtraction. Now our next question, it says, circle Hannah's estimate to check that your answer is reasonable. Well, Hannah estimates that she has about 1 more kilogram of apples than oranges. So we're going to subtract 3 3/3600 because that's how many apples Hannah has from, and we're going to subtract 2 2/2800 kilograms of oranges because that's how many oranges she has. So we're going to subtract the hundredths first. If there are not enough hundredths, we're going to regroup 1/10 as 10. So we've got 6 in our hundredths spot and 8 in our hundredths spot. So we're going to have to regroup. So we come over and we borrow 1 from our tenths column, which makes it a 2, and we add that to our 6, making it 16. So 16 minus 8 equals 8. So then we're going to subtract the tenths and the ones. So we have 2 tenths minus 2 tenths equals 0 tenths. We have to keep our decimal line, so bring it straight down. And we have 3 ones minus 2 ones, which leaves us 1 ones. So now we can draw a quick picture to check our work. So we have 3 is our whole number. We have 1, 2, 3 as our tenths, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 as our hundredths. And we're going to subtract 2 and 28, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 from it. So we know we can't do 6 minus 8 because 8 is our bigger number. So we have to come over, take one of our tenths, and add it over here. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So now we have 10 plus our 6 is 16 minus 8. So if we take that, that's going to leave us with our 8. We now have 2 tenths minus 2 tenths leaves us with 0 tenths. And we have 3 minus 2 leaves us with 1. So we see that our Hannah has 1 800 more kilograms of apples than oranges. So since 1 800 is close to 1, which was what her estimate was up here, the answer is reasonable. Now we're going to try this. We can use addition to check. So since subtraction and addition are inverse operations, you can check subtraction by adding. So we're going to find the difference, which means we're going to be subtracting. So we're going to subtract the hundreds first, then subtract the tens, ones, and tens, regroup as needed. So we've got 14 and 2 tenths. However, since we have no place value or no digit in our hundreds place value, we have to replace that with a 0. So now we have 0 minus 3. Well, we know we can't do that since the 3 is bigger than the 0. So we are going to have to regroup. So we come over to our 2, we're going to make that a 1, and our 0 becomes a 10. So 10 minus 3 is 7. Now we have 1 minus 6, and we know we can't do that since our 6 is bigger than the 1. So we have to come over, regroup again, which our 4 becomes a 3, and our 1 becomes an 11. And 11 minus 6 is 5. Now we have to keep our decimals aligned. Now we have 3 minus 8. Now we know we can't do that since the 8 is bigger than the 3. So we come over, our 1 becomes a 0, and our 3 becomes a 13. 13 minus 8 is 5. So we end up with 5 and 57 hundredths. So in order to check that, we take our difference, which is our answer to our subtraction problem, and that becomes one of our add-ins in our addition problem to check. And 7 plus 3 is 10, carry our 1, 5 plus 6 is 11, plus 1 is 12, carry our 1, keep our decimal point aligned. 5 plus 8 is 13, plus 1 is 14, and we see that our answer to our addition problem or our sum matches what we had to begin with. So is our answer correct? Yes, because the difference added to the number I subtracted is equal to the number I subtracted from. My answer is correct. Make sure you record that in your book. Now, take a look at our real world problem. It says, in peanut butter, how many more grams of protein are there than grams of carbohydrates? And we use the label at the right. And you see this is a label that came off of our peanut butter. So what do you need to know? Well, what we need to know is how many more grams of protein are there than grams of carbohydrates. So let's go ahead and put that in there. Okay. Then it asks, how will you use subtraction to find how many more grams of protein there are than grams of carbohydrates? So we're going to subtract the number of grams of carbohydrates from the grams of protein. Now, it says, show how you solve the problem. Well, in order to set it up, we know that our biggest number, so if we come over here and we look at our grams of protein, we see that our grams of protein is 8.1 grams. And we see that our grams of carbohydrates is 6.2. So in order to subtract our 6.2 from 8.1, we have to set our problem up as 8.1 minus 6.2. Now, as you can see, this number on the bottom is bigger than our number on the top. So that means that we are going to have to regroup in order to answer the question. So go ahead and finish the subtraction problem, keeping our decimals aligned because our decimals have to form a straight line when we add and subtract decimals. And then Complete each sentence according to the answer you receive. Go ahead and complete this. Make sure you bring it to class with you tomorrow, and I will see you then.